last episode, we were introduced to the sport of basketball in its creation. To recap, it was created in Canada by Dr. James Naismith in 1891.
I was given the task to create an indoor sport that would help people stay active, fit, and warm during the cold Massachusetts winters. I only had 14 days. When I first invented the game, we used peach baskets at either end of the court. Each time someone scored, we had to retrieve the ball. There were 9 players per team and we used a soccer ball. I made 13 rules to make sure the game didn't get out of hand.
In 1906, the baskets were replaced with metal hoops that had a backboard. Naismith asked Spalding and Brose to develop a special ball, the basketball, for his game. The first ball they came up with was brown, and in the 1950s, a man by the name of Tony Hinkle thought of making the ball orange for a reason of visibility. A couple of years after basketball creation, the rules changed from 9 players per side to 5. And now for our Canadian update. After all, basketball was invented by a Canadian. Basketball team representing Canada participated in the Olympic Games since 1936 and in the World Championships since 1954.
I am proud to be a Canadian. I was born in Ontario and I'm proud to say the official governing body of basketball in Canada was formed in Thunder Bay, Ontario. 1928, I believe. It was called the Canadian Amateur Basketball Association. What's that? It's now called Basketball Canada? Well, all the same, it was formed to aid in national championships, both men's and women's.
Oh, Basketball Canada. They certainly serve a lot of purposes. Sure, they deal with national championships, but they also develop the men's and women's national team. They certify coaches, officials, players. They deal with youth programs, have a Hall of Fame, promote the game for competitive, recreational, and educational purposes.
They tell me basketball in Canada became much more popular when 2 Canadian cities were awarded franchises in the National Basketball Association, Toronto Raptors and Vancouver Grizzlies. They started playing in 1995.
Sure, I remember the Grizzlies. They weren't so hot though when they got moved to Memphis. The Raptors though, now they keep the NBA in Canada. I remember in 1999 when Vince Carter won the NBA Rookie of the Year award. Now that is something we Canadians can be proud of.
Canada also has many successful players in the NBA that plays for US teams. More recently, we have Steve Nash, regarded as quite a Canadian all-star.
Yes, Steve Nash, 2-time NBA MVP. Now he's quite the point guard. He was named one of the top 10 of all time, if I'm not mistaken. He was also the very first Canadian to receive an NBA MVP award, and he has had quite the career. Played 16 seasons in the NBA for 3 different teams. He was a force to be reckoned with on every single one of them.
Despite the fact that the NBA is comprised almost solely in American teams, their very first game was actually played in Toronto on November 1st, 1946. In this episode, we'll take you on a journey through the evolution of shooting in the game of basketball. To begin, we're going to take a look at stationary shooting.
When the game started out, players often shot two-handed set shots with the basketball starting around their knees and lobbing it up into the basket. Offensive players had to have a lot of distance from the defenders to make sure the shot did not get blocked.
By the time I started playing basketball, the one-handed set shot and the one-handed jump shot had easily replaced the two-handed set shot. This shot is far more accurate and quick for players to get off, which is why I continue to teach them to this day. These shots are effective in breaking down zone defenses since players were able to shoot from the outside and actually score.
As you can see, the development of different strategies form different types of shots. During the transition between the lob shot and the one-handed set, or jump shot, we saw the birth of the hook shot in the 1920s.
Since the two-handed shot did not have a very high rate of success, some of the taller players started using hook shots. They usually used them if they were about 4 to 10 feet from the basket.
The modern hookshot can be attributed to former Harlem Globetrotter, Goose Tatum. Now he was amazing. He would take these crazy hookshots without even looking at the basketball. Players like Yao Ming and Magic Johnson followed in his footsteps. This was the shot for centers before the dunk was invented.
Another perimeter shot that has been both controversial and highly influential in the sport of basketball is the three-point shot.
I love the three-point shot. It's a crowd pleaser and when used strategically can make or break a game. The original game didn't have this shot because the three-point line didn't exist. It wasn't until sometime in the 1930s that people began to think about awarding players who could shoot from a distance. Thanks to Howard Hobson, University of Oregon coach who brought the idea to the Rules Committee, this rule began to be implemented in high-level basketball. Specifically, it used in 1961 in the ABL for the first time. People started calling it the bonus shot. Some claim the inventor of the three-point line is Eddie Rios Mulatto of Puerto Rico. Don't get me started on that controversy. When first created, it was the cause of much confusion and debate, but it's now seen as an integral part of the game we know and love.
What was that? That didn't exist in my day.
Moving on, we're now going to take a look into the history of one of the most impressive shots in basketball, the slam dunk.
When I created the game, there was no such thing as a slam dunk. If a player were to leave their feet like that, they would most certainly be knocked to the ground on their way down.
When the dunk was first invented, it was not about style or even finesse. It was all force. At this time, it was only performed from right under the basket by large players. There was a lot of controversy surrounding the dunk. It was even banned for a period of time before being reintroduced. People found it to be nothing but a show-off move, and it was not respected.
Why was there no dunking? Easy, the rules wouldn't allow most modern dunks. In my original 13 rules, the player had to pass the ball from where he received it. There was no 1.5 step rule, whatever that is about.
In the 1960s, the modern dunk was invented. That is when things got interesting. Now we can't talk about the dunks without talking about Julius the Dr. Erving. He was the man! He could dunk like no other. Windmill, rock the ball, behind the back, you name it, he could do it. And of course we can't forget the addition of the slam dunk contest to the annual All-Star Game. Now that is always a sight to see. For sure a reason for the dunk becoming so popular. And then we have Daryl Dawkins, broke a backboard in Kansas City with his dunk. Let's just say the crowd went wild.
From Hill, Iguodala. Wilson Chandler! A grown man's move to the rim.
There are many different variations on the dunk. A crowd favorite is always the alley-oop.
The alley-oop, one of my favorites. This is a good dunk because it is effective in a lot of cases. So let's say the clock is running down and a player inbounding the ball, they can toss it up for another player in front of the basket. Bam! Alley-oop! Pass and shot all in one. It's quite the buzzer beater.
Game-winning alley-oop for Vince Carter. Lob it at the rim. Carter dunks it with 1.5 seconds to go. An over-the-head two-hand slam. Wow!
The bouncer's Josh Carlson, forgetting that slam ball is a full contact sport.
Carlson knocked hard to the deck.
No pity on the little guy.
In the 6th week of the season, Corey Beeshold gets way up over George Burns.
Beeshold way up high. Boom! Shakalaka. Look at the amplitude. This is just silly. His head was above the backboard.
Thanks for watching the history of basketball.